Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Play Branson, where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. My name's Chris Meyer. I'm going to be your host for the day, and on today's show, we have Eddie Stovall with the golden sound of the Platters. Eddie's been a longtime entertainer in Branson, but the first time he's ever been on the show. A few trivia facts about the Platters. They were actually formed in the early 1950s. They had 40 chart-topping hits from 1955 to 1967. That's a lot of hits in not even 10 years. Well, actually 12 years. So that's a lot of hits. And then, did you know this? That the Platters were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990. I did not know that, but in my research. And so Eddie and a bunch of his friends have been doing tributes to the Platters and lots of the doo-wop groups here in Branson for a long time. So we'll learn more about that in just a minute. Today our show's being sponsored by iBranson.com. If you need help planning your Branson vacation, be sure to check out iBranson.com. And if you're just like sitting at home going, I haven't planned my summer vacation, guess what? You better hurry up and do that. Time is running out. There's about another 6 to 8 weeks in the summer planning time frame for summer vacations, and Branson is the perfect vacation destination for the whole family, whether that's grandma and grandpa, mom and dad, and the kids. Everybody can come to Branson and do lots of fun things, whether that's boating, shopping, golf, shows, attractions, theme parks. Branson's got something for everyone. So if you're sitting at home, come on to Branson. We'll be back in just a minute with Eddie Stovall.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. And on today's show, for the first time ever, we have Eddie Stovall. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's good for you to be here. And the thing that we always talk about is history first. And so talk to us about your history in the entertainment business.
Ooh. Well, honestly, I don't ever remember not singing. I entertained my friends when I was kids, and I tell on my show I mentioned the fact that I got my formal doo-wop education on the street corners of New York City.
Oh wow!
Where I learned how to learn doo-wop, and then we sung in the hallways and in the alleys. Everything always looking for that echo, and that's kind of where I got started. I mean, that was my first talent show when I was like 10. The prize was it was in school and doing, the community center at school, and the prize was a can of fruit punch.
Oh Wow! I've never heard that one before.
Hawaiian fruit punch. Well, that was the prize. It was like I said, it was a summer camp, and the guy from Ted McHammer came to up to my mother brought this guy home, brought him upstairs. I was living in New York for an audition, and they wanted me to go on the program, and I was scared to death. My knees shook. my knees shook like they thought I was dancing when I was singing this song. I was singing "Personality" by Lloyd Price, and they thought I was dancing, but my knee was just trembling.
Wow! So did you grow up in New York City then?
Well, I was born in Alabama, in Montgomery, and in between living with my grandmother and my mother. My mother lived in New York City, so
Gotcha.
we spent time in Montgomery and in New York until my mother passed when I was 15, and we moved back to Alabama, which is where I stayed until I joined the military.
Okay, so you went into the military. So you didn't do music there, or did you?
Oh yeah, I did. I had a group in the Army called the Showmen.
Okay.
And we sung at the service clubs and the EM club, the officers club, and it's always been about singing as far as I'm concerned. As a kid, I always knew, a lot of kids, well, I want to be a fireman and I want to be a policeman. I've never wanted to be anything but a singer. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I've had guys try to teach me how to run, the stuff you guys are doing, recording, and I said, no, I'm a singer. That's what I do. You know, I wasn't interested in nothing else but singing. That's what I do.
So take us on the journey from being in the military and having, this group, and what happened next?
Well, when I got out of the Army, there was a group that was in Birmingham called the Four Tracks. And just as I got out, one of the guys in the group was getting drafted. And I got into that group, the Four Tracks. And we sung around Alabama and Mississippi. We were with a company called Southeastern Attractions. And we were booked at all the major colleges and all that kind of stuff, in the high schools and all that kind of stuff, and nightclubs and stuff around Alabama and Mississippi and Georgia and all that kind of stuff, Tennessee. And we was at a club one night in it wasn't Tuskegee, it was in some part of Alabama. And the guy heard us singing. He said, "Oh, you guys need to be on Soul Train. You need to be on TV." So we took that as an omen, and we left Alabama and went to California. Once we got there, we met a guy named George Scott. And he was friends with Zola Taylor, who was the female vocalist with the Platters. And we got hooked up with Zola. Been singing Platters ever since.
Okay, so that's where the connection with the Platters comes in.
Yes, that's where that came in at. But during that time, during the Platters situation, I met people from the Drifters, and I met Dub Jones from the Coasters, and I became at one point half suit will travel. So I learned all Coasters, Drifters, Platters. I learned all that stuff. And so I'm like always on call. Hey man, call Eddie. He can do it. He'd make it. So I got a chance to travel overseas with a few of those groups, and then in around '85, I met Hank Ballard from Hank Ballard and the Midnighters, and that's when things really started picking up, because Hank, the guy that originally wrote the Twist, and he did his group. They came up with the dance first. Shelby came along and did it later on, but Hank Ballard was the originator of that.
Okay.
And we did a few movies and stuff like that. And but I'm bouncing from group to group, And you go on YouTube, you find me all over the place,
Yeah.
Like on what's his name? What's the guy name that did the night music saxophone player? In fact, I did the last show that Miles Davis did on TV. I was on that show with him and Marcus Miller and those guys.
Wow. So how did you end up getting to Branson?
We was training with a group called the Box Tops. The Letter, me and Ticket on there. Those guys. Okay. We came here to do a car show at Mutton Hollow, and some people may still remember Mutton Hollow.
I remember Mutton Hollow. Yeah.
Now they used to, back in Branson, last week of August, they used to have Branson Cruising Lights. And all these vintage cars would come to town. And at 12 midnight, we would cruise straight down 76. People from everywhere would be there.
Oh, it was crazy.
Man, it was beautiful. We loved those times. I mean, it was just fun times,
Yeah.
And so we did that show. We did 3 sellout shows that night. And we left going someplace else, Illinois or somewhere. And the Cushmans called and said, "Hey, how would you guys like to make Branson your home? How would you come back?" So we thought about it. We talked about, hey man, that'd be an opportunity to get off this road and sleep in our own bed every night. So Rooster, one of the guys that sang with me, we met with them in Las Vegas. David Cushman and one of the guys that were working for them met us there, and we negotiated the plans and closed the deal, and we came back to Branson and been here ever since.
Really? So you were at Mutton Hollow first then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. See, I didn't remember that. So that's some good history. I love it.
That was our first venue.
Yeah.
Mutton Hollow.
Yeah.
So we left Mutton Hollow and went to Roy Clark Theater. Then it became Hughes Brothers after a couple of years. We stayed there for a couple more years. Then we was at the Showtown Theater, which is where the Wild West show used to be there on Gretna.
Right.
Then we left there and went to the Americana, stayed there for 1 year. Then we went to the Starlight, where we stayed for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
So
long run.
We did like everybody else, that theater go round thing,
Yeah, yeah. And so when you were doing those shows, was it you were was it the Platters at that point, or what were you calling the show, or?
It was the world famous Platters.
The world famous Platters.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were doing Platters music.
Oh yeah, that's all I've ever done out here.
Okay.
Until recently.
Okay.
Before I started doing a couple other shows.
Well, that's a good place for us to stop. We are going to stop right there. We'll be back in just a minute with more with Eddie Stovall. Hey folks, welcome back to the show. And Eddie, we want to talk now about your show today.
Okay.
And so tell us about the show and what can people expect?
Well, what they can expect is to take that long nostalgic ride back down memory lane. We like to say, come and relive the romance. Because I consider our show to be the most romantic show in Branson. We invite people to get up and dance, and you see people sitting there holding hands, and they can fall in love all over again at our show.
I love
the
that.
music is timeless. It's romantic, it's of a time when romance meant something, And I mean, they sit there. I mean, you see, a lady might reach over and squeeze her husband's knee. They sit there holding hands. I mean, it just gets you right there every time when you think about for what it is. We're at the Hot Hits Theater downtown Branson on Commercial, 206 Commercial Boulevard, and we do 3 shows a week. We do Tuesdays at 7:30 at night. We do Wednesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning, and we do Thursdays at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we get 3 opportunities to come see our show.
Yeah, and they're different times, so depending on when they want to do it.
Whatever your school is, we try to fit everybody's schedule. Some people like to get up in the morning, some people don't. Some people like night shows, some people like afternoon shows, so we got something for everybody.
Yeah, and so in that, it's called The Golden Sound of the Platters. And so maybe somebody has never heard of the Platters. Why don't you talk a little bit about the Platters and the type of music they had?
The Platters was originally formed in 1953 in Los Angeles, California. And this group was discovered at a place called the 5-4 Ballroom on Central Avenue there in Los Angeles. The guy from King Federal Records saw them, and they were signed to King Federal. Well, now they had 14 flops at King Federal. Now, King Federal was the same label James Brown and Hank Ballard and Lil Willie John, big label out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Guy named Sid Nathan ran this company, and I mean, the Twist originally was come off that label.
Yeah.
And the group's manager's name was Buck Ram. Buck Ram was, from the big band era and stuff, and he managed quite a few acts, and he signed the Platters on this as one of his groups, but they couldn't get a hit at King. But now Buck Ram had another group that was signed to a little company out of Compton called Dutone Records, and they had a record that's Raising Sand, man, and Mercury wanted these guys, but Buck tried to get Mercury to want the Platters too, and Mercury said, "Oh no, these guys have had 14 flops. What are we gonna do with them?" So Buck, after a little arm twisting, persuaded Mercury to take the Platters also. Now, the group that they were talking about, the other group was the Penguins.
The Penguins.
They had Earth Angel, which was their only hit. But when the Platters signed on with Mercury, they had 35 top 10 hits.
35 top 10 hits.
On the Mercury label. Yeah,
Wow.
35,
That's a lot.
That Mercury was, sometimes you have to make changes in order for things to work out for you,
Yeah. And so, drop us some names of some of the songs they're going to hear over the show.
Only You, Smoke This in Your Eyes, My Prayer, Twilight Time, I Love You 1,000 Times. You Got the Magic Touch, Harbor Lights. I mean, the list goes on.
So a lot of, and so even if people maybe didn't grow up in that era, more than likely they've heard a lot of these songs.
If they haven't heard anything, they've heard The Great Pretender, Smoke This in Your Eyes, and Only You. Those three. When we go overseas, like to the Philippines and stuff like that, we soon we get off the plane, baggage guys walking around. Only you. I mean, singing the song, they recognize. Soon we get off the plane, they soon we get over there, they start. The whole country just loves us in the Philippines.
Wow.
One guy said it was like Sunday mornings. It was like a religious thing for their family. So the families they're closely bonded with 3 or 4 generations living in the same house. So the grandparents and the grandparents passed their music on up to their kids. So even the little ones know the Platters music.
Yeah.
It's surprising, but they do.
Now, how many are you singing? You're kind of singing doo-wop or a cappella in the show as well?
Well, I do everything. We do everything on the show.
Okay.
In fact, on the Platters show, we do, of course, all the hits of the Platters, and we do some coasters, as well as some drifters.
Okay.
And of course, we do some doo-wop a cappella stuff.
Yeah.
You try to satisfy everybody's musical palette. So you give everybody something.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you said is people they get up and dance while you're singing.
Absolutely.
And so that's a little different because you don't get that in a lot of shows.
We invite them up on the floor and get up. I mean, I take them for a nostalgic thing about their high school prom. Imagine your high school prom, and most of the time the ladies will make their husbands get up at that point. Get up.
That's hilarious. That's great. You are in a couple other shows.
Yes, I am.
As well. Can you want to tell us about those just briefly?
Well, yeah. I mentioned earlier about my doo-wop days back on the corners in New York City. Well, we have a show there called Doo-Wop and More, which is what we do. A lot of the old doo-wop songs, the street corner harmonies and stuff, And we do that show Tuesdays and Saturdays at 2:00, and that covers all of that Book of Love and Blue Moon and all those doo-wop songs from Daddy's Home, all that kind of stuff. It whets that palate for people that still remember doing doo-wop music. Doo-wop was leading up to rock and roll as we know it, but doo-wop that stand in the corner singing that is, and that stuff is still alive and well, believe it or not, on the East Coast. Because we used to do what they call the Royal Doo-Wop Show, and it's up the East Coast, just Radio City Music Hall and Apollo Theater, and we, all those places we did that doo-wop stuff, up and down the Eastern Seaboard there.
And then you've got the other show, Motown.
That's a whole different thing. Motown Downtown.
Motown Downtown.
Yeah, it's Motown music downtown.
There you go. I like it.
And it covers the Temptations, the Four Tops, and that whole Motown era with this the inquitus. Man, I'm losing my words. The steps, the dance, Temptation. You look at Temptation. You look at it. All that kind of stuff, and all that. You get it all. You get the whole package.
And so that's Wednesday through Sunday at 7:30, right?
Absolutely.
So
great singers, man.
So, folks, here's the deal. If you wanna, and I loved how you talked about romance and just kind of the golden era and doo-wop and Motown and the Platters and just, man, there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of great songs and entertainment there. And so, folks, go check Eddie and his crew out at the Hot Hits Theater. It is downtown Branson. It's really one of the only theaters in downtown Branson that has.
True. You get the Owen Theater.
Right.
So usually when
they don't perform every day at the Owen Theater. You guys do.
But when what people say, well, you at the what theater? I said, Hot Hits. Where is that? When I tell people where it is, it's next door to the pawn shop.
It's next door to the pawn shop. That's right.
That's because everybody knows where the pawn shop.
That's right.
And the address is 206 South Commercial.
Yeah. So, folks, be sure to go down there, check them out. They have different times for these shows. Specifically, the Golden Sounds of the Platters is Tuesday at 7:30, Wednesday at 10, and then Thursday at 2 p.m. So three different days, 3 different times.
That's right.
And go check Eddie out there. You're going to have a great time. You've been in Branson now how long?
Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years performing. So long career in the entertainment industry. We'll be back in just a minute to wrap the show up.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, we're wrapping the show up today, and we would like to encourage you just to go see Eddie down at the Hot Hits Theater, and he is with a show called The Golden Sounds of the Platters. Now, we also talked about a couple other shows they have there, the Doo-Wop and Motown Downtown, but the Golden Sounds of the Platters, you can find them on Tuesdays at 7:30, Wednesdays at 10, or Thursdays at 2 p.m. Next week's show, I have Catherine Haygood with the Haygoods, and she hasn't been on our show for almost 5 years, so we are really excited to have her back on the show. And then right around the corner, some upcoming special events coming to the Branson area. We have Celtic Throne over at the Mansion Theater on June 30th. We've got Tim Atwood July 1st and 2nd, Grand Funk Railroad and Foghat on July 22nd, the Newsboys July 23rd, Kids Rock July 23rd and 24th. Terry Bradshaw's coming back into town July 25th through the 27th, and Red, White, and Floyd July 31st. So those are some special events coming up here in Branson. Be sure to go see all of our shows that are here all the time as well, and you can get their information, see show schedules, and buy them all at iBranson.com. Those folks can help you out there. You can call them at 877-ENTERTAIN if you don't want to buy online, and you'll reach a local person here in Branson that can help plan your entire Branson vacation. We'll see you next week here on Play Branson.